Let's face it, you've probably told yourself 1,000 times that you're lazy. People around you might have even reinforced that idea. But what if I told you the problem isn't laziness? What if it's misalignment? I have this brother, smart guy, gets his work done, never short a conversation, and if there's gist on social media, you can count on him to be updated. But for the life of him, he finds it impossible to take his bath early in the morning. We've tried convincing him, joked about it, teased him, even tried assigning reasons that would make sense, like starting the day fresh or improving his mood. Nothing worked. Mornings came and went, and he'd do everything else. Check messages, tidy up, tend to tasks, but still skip that shower. But here's the twist. No matter how late it gets at night, he must bathe before bed. It doesn't matter if he's exhausted or back home by midnight. That night bath? Non-negotiable. And I thought to myself, wait, this is not laziness. It's not that he can't take a bath. It's not that he lacks the strength or time. It's simply that the action doesn't align with what he believes is necessary in that moment of the day. The same act that feels like punishment in the morning becomes ritual at night. Same body, same water, different alignment. That's when I realized laziness isn't about not doing. It's about when and why we're doing it. It's about the internal value we assign to the task. Let me break this down. We tend to define laziness as the unwillingness to do work, the absence of drive, the chronic postponement of effort. But have you ever noticed something peculiar? Even the laziest person you know has the energy to do something. They may skip class, postpone projects, avoid cleaning, but give them a game, a show, a chat, or even just the comfort of their own thoughts, and they'll spend hours immersed in it. So wait, where did the laziness go? This is where we've misunderstood the concept. Laziness isn't the absence of energy, it's the misdirection of it. Let me say it again. Even lazy people have commitments. They're just not committed to the things you want them to be committed to. That's not a lack of discipline. That's misalignment. Addressing the real problem, skipping the process. You know the common perception. Lazy people like to cut corners. And maybe that's true. But here's what nobody says. Most people who skip steps or procrastinate aren't doing out of spite or rebellion. They just don't enjoy the process. They see it as tiring, boring, meaningless. So, naturally, they look for a shortcut. But here's the twist. Even the time they save from skipping the process, they don't waste it. They reinvest it into whatever aligns with them. Sleep, games, scrolling through social media, conversation, creating music, designing outfits, talking to themselves, reading random stuff on the internet. The issue isn't a lack of work ethic. The issue is direction. So then the question becomes, what do they really want to do? Mind you, even the hardworking stall sometimes. This is not just about so-called lazy people. Even those who pride themselves on being responsible have moments where they stall. Times when they push deadlines, ignore texts, or skip what they planned. Why does this happen? Misalignment. We all fall victim to it. That dip in motivation you feel, that procrastination you beat yourself up over, it's because in that moment, what you have to do and what you want to do are in different lanes. That's the common thread between all of us, lazy or not. When the work doesn't feed your passion, it feels heavier than it actually is. And your brain, wired for survival, will always default to what feels lighter, what feels rewarding. And no, lazy people are not irresponsible. The mistake we often make is assuming that when people ignore certain responsibilities, it's because they're irresponsible. But think about it. If they truly believe those duties were critical to their lives, they would do them. The truth is, they don't see them as important. You do, and there lies the conflict. So maybe they're not the problem. Maybe we are. We tend to project our priorities onto others. We hold up a list of what we think should matter and shame people when they don't measure up. But here's the thing. No one is obligated to carry your convictions. You need to enter their world, not impose yours. Only when you view someone through their lens, not yours, do their choices begin to make sense. So what if you feel lazy? What then? Now this is where it gets personal. Maybe you're not just talking about others. Maybe you're reading this because you've labeled yourself lazy. Maybe you're frustrated with yourself for always falling short. Here's what you need to understand. You don't need to overhaul your entire life or force yourself to become someone you're not. You don't need to fake productivity or pretend to love what you clearly don't. What you need is a shift, a realignment. Because here's the truth. When something is genuinely meaningful to you, when you've defined it as vital to your growth or survival, you won't need external motivation. The desire will come from within. You'll naturally prioritize it. You'll make time. You'll fight for it. That's how commitment works. Redefine the task. Redefine your life. Take a moment and think. Is the thing you're struggling to do truly meaningful to you? Or are you doing it because someone said you should? Because society expects it? Because failure to do it will make you look bad, not feel bad? If the task is important, then redefine it. Ask yourself, what role does this play in my future? Tie the task to your survival, to your peace, to your growth. Make it personal, because when you assign personal value to something, it becomes less of a burden and more of a mission. That's when a job becomes a hobby. That's when an obligation becomes passion. That's when effort becomes instinct. Once again, you're not broken, you're not incapable, and you're definitely not lazy. You're just trying to thrive in systems that never asked what you love. You're navigating routines built for someone else's idea of success. You're out of sync with what matters to you. So realign, refocus, redefine. The moment you do, you'll realize you never lacked energy. You just needed a reason to show up.